all of the ambassadors are on. The ambassadors that are here, if you could please, as students are posting questions in the chat box, if you could respond to them. And then if you can't respond to something, that should be something that should be sent to us. Okay. And then we can, or if it's something that we see that should be answered, you know, in the general public, we'll just go ahead and do that. But other than, you know, everybody knows the program. The program, the final program does not actually go to print until the week before we fly, because things are always adjusting. But for you guys to know the up to the minute latest information, it's all going to be on the website. Also, Madalena has been pushing out to everybody in the general file all of the webinars if people have missed it, all of the meetings that we've had, the global meetings that we've had if people have missed it. So just make sure that you're keeping yourself informed. I think the newsletter that Dr. Voss sent out a few days ago, that's really
yesterday.
Okay, so that's really important for you guys to review, only so that you know how to prepare yourself. Mada's here now.
Let me just to give people an idea. So we have, depending on how you count, if you go by the country of origin, it's more countries. If you go by nationality, it's more countries. But if you go by the current country of residence, we have, it looks like 31 countries, from Australia and Bahamas, Brazil and Canada, China and Hong Kong, Italy and Romania, Philippines, Taiwan, Sweden, the United Kingdom, Thailand, the USA. So if you look at the nationalities, I counted 62, but that's a little bit more complicated because many people have multiple nationalities. Many are immigrants from one country studying in another. So, but we'll have basically every single continent represented, from Africa, Australia, and Asia to Europe and the Americas. So yeah, very, very interesting group this time.
So, and what we want to do today is really give Dr. Silenskaida, I know I'm killing that name, Ozrina, but she is going to be our presenter today. And she's going to talk about Finnish culture, but most specifically, what kind of cultural expectations you'll have when you get there, and then some advice on how we present ourselves wherever we are from the world, right? How we present ourselves to the people in Finland. Okay, so without further ado, we'll give the floor to Ozrina, and then we'll jump back on in the end, towards the end there.
Thank you so much, Dr. B. Thank you, everyone. It's so good to see you. I hope you can hear me well. All good? Perfect. Just a few weeks, and we're so much looking forward to having you in Vasa in Finland. So I hope you're all excited as much as we are. Actually, I don't have any PowerPoint slides or anything, so I just thought of sharing several personal experiences with you, because I'm myself not Finnish, and my journey with Finland has been very, very interesting. So I think for the first 7 years, I hated the country. And for the next 7 years, I learned loving the country. So after 15 years in Finland, I'm kind of I've seen everything. And sort of, I thought that some reflections, maybe that, you know, some cultural shocks might be interesting to you as you're coming in the country. And of course, you may not be experiencing all of that. But at the same time, this is also something that differentiates Finland. And of course, as you're going to be here, you'll be also sort of having your own experiences, and it will be super exciting to see how much, you know, whatever I told you actually coincides with your impressions about the country and your journey in Finland. And at the same time, you know, how much new or different kind of things you will experience here. So one of the biggest differences, and I know you've had several seminars with ambassadors, so maybe something will repeat, but, you know, I really would love to have this interactive. So, you know, if you feel that, you know, just opening the microphone, asking anything that bothers you, or reflecting on anything that I'm saying, you know, feel free to do that. Okay, cool. So Finland is really unique country. First of all, from the personal sort of the way social structure is built. And I think this is something that you will experience in many, many ways. It's a most Nordic countries. So it's not a Scandinavian country, it's a Nordic country. It's not a sort of Scandinavian type, and that means a lot. It means that their language is very different, but also the way they structure their community and the relationships is also very different, right? So the way, for example, people build relationships may take a lot of time. And if you have somebody, you know, not talking to you for a while, or being very shy to talk to you, that's also, it's not that they're rude or they don't want to interact with you. This is sort of something that they were giving you space, and sort of it's also very visible in personal relationships and in sort of in the way people communicate. So there was a joke during COVID that, you know, Finns were forced to keep 2 meters or 1 meter distance from each other, whereas a regular one is about 3 or 4 meters from each other. So it's sort of a certain type of relationships, and that means that you know, approaching somebody with a small talk and having them not always comfortable or not always responding to you would be totally okay, or sort of not having a lot of chat with people you meet is totally okay. It's not that they're not friendly, but this is because sort of they're going to be focused on some activity. So for example, in the hotel or in the restaurant or somewhere else, they may just smile to you, say hey, but sort of they may not necessarily be having small chats, and that doesn't mean anything about the hospitality. This is just their way of sort of giving the space to each other. Another thing which is really important for the community is really rules, right? Finns really love rules. And when I say Finns love rules, we always say that recommendation is taking, you know, is considered as a rule. So as, let's say, there would be the situation that during the COVID, many countries would issue that, you know, you must wear masks. In Finland, government issued the recommendation that you are recommended to wear a mask. And so Finns would wear a mask everywhere, right? And in a sense, rules are non-negotiable. So if, let's say, there is a rule that in the neighborhood, you have some silent hours, and silence is very, very valued in Finland, right? So typically in the, you know, if you live in an apartment house, silent hours are from 10 p.m. And sort of that would be something really, really very much respected, which means there must be a silence after 10 p.m. You know, if there is a public sauna, so for example, every house, even apartment house, has a public sauna in the basement, right? And so sort of there are certain times when you book it, and which means you would come 5 minutes after your time, and you would have to leave 5 minutes before the time. So the time is really important in a sense. Being punctual is extremely important. If there are certain rules in the public spaces, like, for example, you'll decide to go to visit a swimming pool or something, and you know, there are like certain pictograms of what needs to be done and what place and whatever. So sort of there'll be a very big expectation that everyone follows the rule, meaning that things are very sometimes, and that's what it's so hard for a foreigner, as I told you, like 7 years you live here and you kind of, so sometimes you feel that the system is so rigid and is so strict and is so like non-human even sometimes, like, come on, we're friends, can't we do exceptions and things like that, right? But this is sort of where you learn that actually relationships are important, but then when everyone keeps the rules and everyone keeps the agreement, it's actually becoming super easy and super quick to arrange everything, to really kind of organize things and so on and so forth. So sort of you will notice that you know, people like here following as it is agreed. And I know that our X culture team really experienced that by us having like, let's arrange this 3 months ahead, let's arrange this 4 months ahead, and things like that, because ideally people plan here and then they plan, sort of keep the plan, and that's sort of how the whole system operates. Another big culture shock for many of you will be that in most restaurants and cafeterias, you won't have a waitress or sort of a person coming to you to serve you. So it's a very strong self-serving culture, where you're expected to go get your own coffee and get to the table. And once you've done, you're very often expected to get your coffee cup or tea or whatever you've been consuming to a certain place in the restaurant, where it is a sort of where the dishes are placed. And it's not just in canteen. Often, of course, more expensive restaurants, evening dining, that is often served. But then cafeterias, lunch places, any casual sort of places to pop in to have a snack, they will be always self-served. And I know, for example, that in the hotel, we'll have the possibility for you to have some of your breakfast carried to the room, but then the same principle applies, sort of, there's an idea that even if you're eating your breakfast in your room, then, we bring the dishes back. And so sort of that way, it's not that they're not hospitable or that they're not hospitable, or not that they are not serving. It's sort of the Finnish concept of independence, which is really important, that I'm self-sufficient, I can do things by myself, and things like that. So that really reflects quite a lot. One more thing that maybe is going to be integrated quite a lot in the program, and hopefully you will see it, is that a lot of things here are considered to be exploratory, right? So less showing, less guiding, but again, the self-sufficiency is a key. So right from the start, right from the opening of the event, we'll have you doing things, right? And you'll have trying things out in different cultural explorations, and that is sort of something where the concept is that let everyone experience the way they would think things work. So that we tried also bringing to the program, where you can touch, you can smell, you can taste, you can go and see how things work, and that is integrated in their education system, but even at work. So sort of the working culture here is that you've got a task, and then you're probably not going to get much of guidance. You're on your own, and you're expected to be creative and independent on how you are solving certain tasks. So I don't know. I just thought that these were most relevant elements to the program, and to something that may be most visible and most different from the others, other countries and cultures as you arrive at the very start. Because I remember landing in Finland for the first time, and it's like, nobody's opening the doors. It's like, it's not polite, or like, especially, we have sometimes this culture where the guy would open the door for the lady or something, and it's like, somebody slapped the doors in front of my face, like, that's so rude. All right, or no, or you're having a big luggage, and then nobody's helping you. It's like, yeah, okay, that's sort of that's a self-sufficiency of Finnish people. And yeah, so in that sense, take it easy and take the experience flow in a way. It's it may be different, but it has a charm after you learn appreciating it and thinking from their sort of point of mind. And what really helped me to think of Finland is once my friend said, like, every culture has its roots, right? And if you think of Finland 100 years ago, so it's been this Nordic country, all covered in snow for 9 months. And there hasn't been atomic energy. There hasn't been machines. There hasn't been much of trade, only in some, coastal areas. But basically, Finns were only limited Vikings. They were not as Swedes or Norwegians or Danes. They were not going all over the world. And so sort of every month survived in this very severe conditions meant that they are sort of, they're fine. So in a sense, this small communal silent environment, half of the year dark, we don't see this anymore. We have lights, we have machines, we have global warming and whatever, right? but that shaped this culture, which is quite unique on its own. And, after 15 years, I really love Finnish silence, and I can sit 15 minutes with my family next to the table without saying anything. And I really enjoy those silent moments. So, yeah, we won't train you to have 15 minutes of silence, around the table. Hopefully you're going to have really good chats and really, and really enjoyable conversations. But otherwise, it's really something that you may just experience a bit and then try to the extent you like it when you're home. All right, so that's a brief one, and I mean, I don't want to reveal all the surprises and all the things when you come, but if something really pressing or urgent or something that you would like to ask, and anyone. Feel free to do that, and I'm happy to talk to you about anything that comes as you're preparing to come over here.
Okie dokes. By the way, I didn't properly introduce Dr. Angelina. She is our lead faculty host at the University of Vasa. And her reputation really does precede her. Before I even met her, I had all sorts of like high-level people tell me how exceptional Dr. Ajrina is as a professor, as a professional, and as a partner. And I can tell you that I have never been this prepared for a conference like ever. And here I am. I'm flying in 2 weeks, and usually the last minute scramble happens within those 2-week window. And I have to tell you that all of the last minute scramble is happening now, which means that the next 2 weeks I get to focus on packing, which I'm so excited. So hopefully that also trickles down to all of you ambassadors and students, that you guys are very well prepared for this trip. And you're going to be journeying. I mean, think about it, right? You're going to be traveling in a few weeks. And honestly, now is the time to start pulling out your luggage and start dropping all the things that you think you're going to be bringing, and keeping in mind that whatever's in that piece of luggage, you will have to carry around the world, right? This is going to be our last global webinar. You will be having webinars by group. And also, if there are any questions that you have, your ambassadors are your point of contact. We got you. So just make sure that you are keeping connected with your ambassadors, so you are fully aware of what you need. And also, I'm in the global WhatsApp group, and I see that everybody is really talking about, okay, hey, meet me in New York, we'll fly together. Oh, when you land in Helsinki at this time, we can meet. And that's exactly what we want you guys to do. There should be no reason where you're traveling alone. Definitely once you get to Helsinki, but you can even possibly connect with people as you're leaving your own home country, because we have that many ex-culture students going. So again, as you prepare for your travel, connect with friends and colleagues who are around you, and make sure that you are connected with your ambassador and that you are informed as to what to expect as you go along your journey. Okay? Okay, anything else? I don't have anything.
Maybe we just want a quick mention. I don't know if you've covered it. Sorry, I was late to join due to traveling. But we prepared a small document, and I think Dr. Taras shared with you already that document. But there's quite a lot of ideas on what you can do. And especially if you like culture, nature, if you like sort of, these kind of a summer skies and so on. So, there are small towns and big towns around, and there are different destinations to the north and to the south and to the west, all over the place. And so extending your day if you can, extending your stay here around, it's really good time for traveling, because typically August has most beautiful weather, at least in this part of the world. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Mosquitoes might bother you, but it's okay. and sort of things are working out. Stephen,
Yeah.
you have a comment.
Can I say also a couple of words teamwork? Does my sound okay?
No, you don't sound okay. We can't hear you very well, Bob.
You can't really?
It's we can hear you a little bit, but it's bad quality. Yeah.
Let me see if I can switch to a different medium.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
while
going in
while
for
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So Stephen, what's your question? Can you turn on your camera?
It's really early. I'd rather not. I'm a little self-conscious. But quick question. Would it be best for me to try to communicate in Finnish, or should I just go ahead and start with English when I'm out and about the village?
Oh, that's a very good question. And the answer is yes and no. Let me explain you that. So, after 15 years in Finland, I still have only broken Finnish because everyone speaks so good English here, and they're too kind. They don't want to be embarrassing you when you start speaking your broken Finnish. They immediately switch to their perfect English. That's a problem. But if you're gonna speak or try speak in Finnish, people will be flattened and so happy and really, really delighted. So I would recommend if you learned any Finnish, please do. But then most often, I mean, you'll be continuing in English with a very, very nice appreciation that you actually learn the language, which they consider the most difficult in the world. I don't agree with that. I think Lithuanian is much more difficult, and there are many more difficult languages in the world. But Finnish is really beautiful, and they'll be super happy if you try speaking it. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Perfect. Thank you.
Is my sound better now?
yay, we have you.
Okay. So teamwork, two dynamics that will be happening. On the one hand, there will be people who will not be engaging with their teams much before the event. Some are working, some are in school, some are traveling. And so there will be some people who will look like freeloaders. And on the other hand, some people will be extremely upset about it. So they will be sending us complaints, somebody's not participating, not working, and so on. So I will say this, do try to engage with your team as much as you can. Communicate with your team frequently. If you're traveling, working, studying, tell your team that you are busy and may not be available all the time. So if you are sort of a team member who is engaged a little bit less, try to engage a little bit more. But then if you're a team member whose team member is not fully engaged, do not panic, do not obsess about it. It's not, the competition, Hunger Games that only one team, stays alive. Not a big deal. So most people will engage on the site. I guess it's not fine that some people will not engage much before the event, but it's normal. It's expected. It happens every time. So it's a cultural experience. It is a competition, but don't be overly competitive and don't get too upset with your team members if somebody is not communicating with you every day. So I guess try to communicate as much as you can, and don't get too upset if somebody is not fully engaged, not preparing the slides or whatever else. That's fine. You will have time on the side, and that's where everybody will be working, from early in the morning till late at night. So I expect a wave of emails from people saying that such and such is not, coming to our meetings. Not good, and do engage, try to engage that person, but again, not the end of the world either. So take it easy, so to speak, and take it as an experience, not as the end of the world.
Can you answer a question for me? One of the students wanted to know about the survey, and that a lot of the questions in the survey are kind of personal, like their age or their pets or
Yes, so there are two questions in this first survey. One is the actual peer evaluations, like what you saw that you participated, and two, we add always a sort of acquaintanceship test. The goal there is to get to know each other. There is nothing personal there. I mean, age, maybe age, but other than that, it's like, does this person have a pet? how many countries did this person visit, how many languages that this person speak. We don't need the correct answer, so to speak. So the goal of the test is not to test you, but to prompt you to just get to know each other. I guess if age is too personal, I don't know, never occurred to me. In a way, we know your age and try to match you by age anyway. But I suppose you just don't answer. But no, that's more as a prompt, as an icebreaker, so that the team members, start talking to one another. Hey, Leilani, how many countries have you visited? Already 100 or still at 90 or something like that? Do you have a pet? I have a dog and a cat and 2 kids. Oh yeah, I have some too, something like that. So, but yes, it's not a test. Some teams take it so seriously they literally get together and just compare the answers so that they have the perfect score. Here it's more to prompt you to get to know each other, as opposed to us testing whether or not you actually know how old someone is or how many languages exactly does everyone speak. So yeah.
So
it's like only 5 questions, I believe, if I remember correctly.
yeah. Again, the whole idea is for you guys to really try to get to know each other as much as possible prior to landing, because we want to get rid of some of that very minor details that will help you actually engage once we're on the ground. So there's one thing that, as Audrina was talking, that was occurring to me, which I think the majority of us will be experiencing culture shock because of this, right? And you guys probably already know this, but light hours in Finland at the time that we're going to be there is until, I don't know, Audrina, but until midnight. It's going to be daylight.
11th, yeah, I checked
it's going to be
11:30
11
p.m.
already. So we're getting to a normal regime. I mean, it's the June has been something where the sun pretty much never sets, depending on where you are. But it's going to be 11, so it's going to be fine. But we're going to watch the sunset and do the photo with the sunset in our gala. That's guaranteed.
That's so funny to me because now I live in Florida, so we're very close to the equator. So my sun sets anywhere between 6 and 7, right? On a year-round basis. Okay.
And sunrise also like 6, 7, not 3 a.m.
Exactly. It doesn't deviate much. So for you, you're like, it's going to be fine. I'm like, the sun is going to be out until midnight or 11 o'clock, which means that it'll be twilight until a little bit after 11, right? And the other part that you said that I'm putting two together is it's quiet hours after 10 p.m., which means that it's still going to be daylight outside, but everybody's got to be quiet because we've got to respect quiet hours. And a lot of people, I mean, like your circadian clock is going to be like, wait a minute, it's still daytime. What the heck? Right?
The good news, hotels typically have very good blinds. So in a sense, but but that's a good point. If you really feel difficulties to sleep, having the night, the sleeping glasses might be a good idea. So if you feel that this is something, but typically the blinds in the hotels are quite strong.
Okay. But so wait, is there like such a thing as nightlife, like in Helsinki, like New York, Chicago? I mean, those cities never sleep. You get out at 2 a.m. and you go get a pizza or go to a bar and there are people on the streets. So in Helsinki, nothing like that even in the summer?
I mean, yes, meaning quiet hours happens in the places where people potentially can sleep, right? So the apartment blocks, hotels, and things like that, right? Nobody prevents you going out and having a picnic until the 3 a.m., right? Or going to the club or having those kind of things, right? Okay. Ideally, I think and I know that our ambassadors here were thinking about the game nights outside, football and things like that, and there this kind of a program is happening. So if there's interest, I mean, having a picnic in the afternoon, later evening is really nice. The hotel where students are staying, it's a bit further from the seaside, but it's still about 20 minutes walk to the seaside and very, very beautiful areas and the parks. So I would still think that this is totally feasible and doable. Exactly. So, I mean, Vasa is a small city comparing to Helsinki. It's a 60,000 inhabitants. So it's more of a family city rather than nightlife city. However, doing any sports anytime throughout the day and night going for a walk, meeting friends, doing table games, doing picnic, given it's not raining, or, I mean, depends on your weather preferences. Yeah, it's absolutely doable.
Nice.
Okay. Another thing that I was talking to Audrina about, again, on the side, because I'm having to do this myself, is that a lot of students want to bring like little trinkets to their, let's say, roommates or their teammates, right? And what Audrina was telling, well, you say it so much better. So tell them what you said to me.
Did we have that
Sustainability.
conversation? Oh, we had many conversations
About gifts and
about gifts. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe it's a bit of a personal philosophy, but also gifts in Finland are very modest. Okay. So it's not a gift giving culture in a sense, if we're talking about that. So, for example, giving a postcard is really a very nice tradition, and especially if you made a postcard by yourself, it's a big thing, right? In other cultures, postcard means nothing, but a postcard in Finland actually means a lot. It's such a small thing, but actually it's very symbolic, right? Flowers in other cultures, often this is something very natural and ideal, and here giving flowers is typically very modest, and you get flowers on the most biggest occasion and in very small quantities. So flowers is not a thing here. And I mean, in general, I would say people try and like functional things, right? So as we discussed that, what we would like to receive, I was like, well, if you really, really, really want to bring a present, bring something maybe to taste, maybe to share, maybe to start a conversation, and things like that. So anything that helps you start a conversation, because in Finland, conversation starts when there's a coffee and a cake. So that's a conversation time. So having anything, where to have the social setting where you have coffee and something to try, or coffee is a big thing. I mean, Finland is one of the biggest worldwide in terms of coffee consumption.
The biggest.
Yeah, well,
yeah, according to World Bank, the biggest per capita.
Yeah, so they have some competitions around, but yes, they are proud of that. So in a sense, anything that helps you start a conversation, everything that reduces you having things put on the shelf and then, forgotten and ignored. Very big appreciation for handmade things or your own made things, right? So sustainability mindset sort of is a part of a culture, if I can say that way. I don't know, Leilani, is that something that you wanted me to talk about?
Yes, because, I mean, I know that for Asian cultures, I'm from the Philippines, so this is something that is very traditional for us. I mean, we always bring gifts. I think this is something that I've brought into the X culture community in terms of when we do things. And it's always such an adventure for me, because I have to be mindful of the things that I bring. And then I have to think about, okay, I got to fit that stuff in my luggage, right? So it's ideal to have this conversation prior. And so that one, we're not, we're being mindful as to what we bring. And also remember that our conference and Finland in general, it has this sustainability conservationist mentality. So we don't want to, as opposed to the different side, like the United States is very consumerism focused, right? So we want to make sure that we are behaving and respecting our host country, regardless of where we come from, because that's the culture that we're going into. Just another, hint. There is a question about roommates. So in the beginning of this webinar, we were talking about our visa students and how we're having to navigate how many rooms we have reserved and how many visa students we still have pending. And you guys, this is where compassion for your international business colleagues has to kick in. Imagine that so many of our students or your colleagues come from countries where obtaining a visa is so difficult. It's like a very, they make it very difficult for normal people to get them, okay? And I'm going to tell you, it's mostly, unfortunately, it's the sub-Saharan African countries, oftentimes in the developing countries, in the East and also in South America. And that's a lot of you guys. That's a lot of our students that we have to be respectful for and understanding towards. So because of that, it's making the rooming very difficult for us. Even though we've got a basic format of the rooming, I've got something like 24 visa students that are still pending, right, Carlos? I think it's about that.
We
Yeah,
have some
something like that,
changes.
yeah.
We have confirmations and also some declines.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
we're going to have a meeting about that after this meeting. And the reason why I'm holding back the announcement for the rooms for one more week, which means that you guys will find out by the end of next week who your roommates are, okay? The reason is I'm trying to give time for a lot of our visa students will be receiving their answers around the 16th. So once they get their responses, then I can lock down our rooming list, and then I can release the room assignments, okay? And that's going to come to you in an email. So, and what we're going to advise you on, getting to know, it's basically what we've been doing all along, right? Getting to know your roommates. The one thing that I do advise you to do is maybe understanding what you're bringing, and then, collaborating to share things. Like if you're bringing shampoo, the other one brings conditioner. If somebody's bringing a steam iron, the other one brings something else, and then that way you guys are not double packing certain things. So with regards to the roommate, just please be more patient with us one more week so that we can make space and time for our visa recipients. The other thing that
I put one quick note. I put in the comments a link to a book called The Nearly Almost Perfect People. So a kind of fun yet very insightful discussion about the history, basically Finland and the Scandinavian nations in general. And technically, I guess, I don't know how they divide themselves, but anyway, very interesting stuff on Finland and the region. So highly recommend, fun and educational.
What is it? Nearly?
The
Sorry.
Nearly Almost Perfect People.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, intended to be sort of fun, and it is sort of written a little bit like comedy, but at the same time very, very insightful. It's a serious, discussion of the history and the politics and the economy and the traditions, like many of the things that Professor Silinskaite told you. So it kind of gives you the background why it is like it is, and how come they are like 6 years in a row the happiest people. And usually, like for the last 25, 30, 40 years, it's usually either Finland or Sweden or Norway, one of those anyway. So so they're always within top 5. So yeah.
The other questions that I'm getting, let me see if there's something else.
Dr. B,
yeah.
maybe I can mention about the packing. In case if you, let's say, happen to forget anything, it may happen. Don't stress. There are quite a few shops around the hotel you'll be staying. So there's little just nearby. There are other sort of household stuffs nearby. So in a sense, if you forgot the shampoo or if you forgot the hairbrush or forgot anything, you'll be able to run and quickly get them just nearby. So don't, take it easy, and the supplies are there around.
Yeah, and don't pay for overweight luggage when you can buy stuff when you get there, right? Unless it's something that you have to have with you, medication. Like for example, if it's over-the-counter cold medicine, don't bring it. I'm sure there's some down the street, because you're just going to add to your luggage weight, which will cause you to pay, $75 extra when you can take that $75 and spend it there and not have to be bothered with carrying that weight around. I do have a question, Dr. Ajrina, about comfortable shoes. Because we're going to be doing a lot of walking back and forth. We do have transportation for you from the hotel and to the hotel once a day. However, we encourage you to be outside and walking around. Hopefully, it'll be great weather because this is that time of year, which means that if we're asking you to come to school in business casual, or I mean, not casual, but business casual, what is the appropriate walking shoes to wear?
Sneakers.
Ah!
You know, again, the shoes in Finland is a separate topic. So because often the weather is really bad and cold during the non-summer months, which is about 9 months per year. It's very, very often that people would even bring slippers or woolen socks to change. And this is very normal, to come and change the shoes. And it's okay to leave your shoes where you leave your coat and, change the shoes for something more fancy if you want to. I mean, now it's a summertime. But I would say in general about the dressing style, it doesn't mean that you have to be like fully relaxed or whatever. But I mean, it's very often that the dressing is considered to be comfortable, neat, clean, but not something too fancy. So there is no big culture of dressing up, if you see what I mean. And that's talking about the cultural shocks. For me, this was like, how can people go with these training pants in the streets? Like, oh my God, no. So sort of now I do it very comfortably, and and there is no problem about that. But in a sense that you can rarely feel underdressed in Finland. Let's put it this way. It doesn't mean, of course, that you have to come with the pajamas here. Probably not. But at the same time, if you feel like you want to wear business casual and sneakers, please do that. No one is going to look at you with making you feel awkward or uncomfortable. So or any simple sandals or anything like that would work. Ideally, of course, you would have a couple of shoes to change in case it rains. Typically August is good. The summer this year has been cold and quite rainy, so we still may have some rain, although August usually is quite bright and sunny. Vasa, by the way, is the sunniest city in Finland statistically, which we were asked by our students to have removed from the advertisement materials because it was widely misunderstood. But otherwise, August is usually bright and sunny. And the idea, that you would have a couple of pair of shoes that in case if it rains and it gets wet, you would have to change, that would be good. But you really don't need to bring very formal, uncomfortable shoes, high heels or something like that. So be comfortable, whatever
That's
works.
all of my shoes, Ajrina. All of
if you feel comfortable, that's your shoes, right? So that's no problem. But I cannot wear the high heels. So I don't.
How about perfumes, makeup, and
Perfumes are
deodorants? I
strongly
know that
recommended
some countries are very much into it and some ban it outright.
Very good question. So perfume in Finland is recommended to be avoided or very, very light. So it's again idea of that many people may have allergy or you have to give a space for others. So for example, I used to use also kind of a strong and fancy perfumes. Now the best what I use is a vanilla, thing, so that you go and smell like a bakery. So then it doesn't irritate people, but it's also very light. So as if you walked off the bakery, and then you have this nice vanilla smell on you. But basically the idea is that perfumes, even at work, by the way, you may see the signs that please no perfume. So sort of who I know that who are coming from the countries where perfume or heavy perfume is let's say a norm and is even a preferred option. Particularly, we're an international audience, but particularly as you're going to public spaces like train or something like that, you may consider reducing the quantity, let's put it this way. So because that might be considered as intrusive into the other space. So meaning whatever is around you in your space is fine. Again, the same logics, right? So give the space to yourself and give the space to others. And the perfume is something that is about a space in a sense.
I'm sensing that the people from Finland are very natural and very organic. That's the word, organic focused, right? So, and to Dr. Taras's point, right? Not a lot of makeup. And for me, coming from South Florida and being very Miami exposed, right? Like I actually have to go shopping, but making sure that more understated than overstated. There is a gala event, you guys. Well, two things that you really have to dress for, right? Is your presentation. So your presentation should be professional dress because you are meeting with CEOs, CFOs, directors, board of director members, right? And we want you to train for that. In the business world, being in a professional dress when you pitch is kind of like the behavior that we have taught you. However, we want you to be able to dress down from that, right? So boys, if you are wearing a jacket and a tie, immediately after your pitch, you can take that all off and go drop it off in your hotel and then be comfortable for the rest of the day. So the other thing that you have to dress for is the gala. Now the gala, we actually have a semi-formal dress code for the gala. Like nice cocktail dress, or I'm only bringing a dress. I'm not bringing a gown or anything, but a lot of people actually bring the national gown of their country, which is spectacular, especially from Asian and African countries when they come and bring their, traditional clothes. It's beautiful. And we love seeing that. However, I also understand that that's luggage space, right? But that last event, the gala, it is a formal event. Or, a cocktail dress if you want to do that. Boys, it's always easy for boys. They can dress anything up, right? But those are the two things that you really have to focus on. The welcome reception, we're going to ask you to be business casual because we know that you guys are just flying in. And of course, for the rest of the week, with the exception of Culture Day, we're going to ask you to be business casual. Culture Day, because it is going to be out and about, we are going to ask you to be casual, and that is actually the day that you guys can wear. Like I brought my university shirt, so that's the day that we encourage you to bring your university shirt so that it can be a talking point. Oh, you come from that university. So I think that would be ideal to understand that packing. Is it recommended to have I have one of our colleagues travels months at a time in carry-on luggage. I can't do that. I'm traveling 1 week before, and then I'm arriving in Vasa and working for 10 days, right? So imagine that I'll be traveling for about 3 weeks. I can't travel for 3 weeks in a carry-on luggage. And I wish I could, because it would save me a lot of money and it would save me a lot of weight that I'm hauling around the world, right? But if you are one of those people who need to I'm checking a piece of luggage. I got one carry-on, one check luggage, and a personal bag. That's what I'm doing.
Maybe one quick comment. In the recent days, we had some issues with the Finnair's luggage handling. I hope that by the time you're here, we won't have them anymore. But we have many times recently, because of the ongoing strikes, quite a few luggages lost, and I got my luggages lost in the last few weeks quite a few times. So even if you're sort of flying to Helsinki, sometimes they just lose it in Helsinki, sometimes it's somewhere else. They may not lose it, but just because their situation with the main carrier in Finland and within Finland has been a bit problematic recently, the recommendation would be to have at least, a 1 or 2 day clothes with you in the carry-on baggage. And so that you would have, I thought of it, I didn't do that, and I needed to go shopping as I landed to my conference in Italy a few weeks ago. So might be a good idea to have something that you would have some supplies, some very basic supplies, toothbrush and some couple of t-shirts, couple of, extra pants or whatever you are wearing. to make yourself comfortable in case if this happens. And just to let you know that in case if it happens that, let's say, luggage doesn't arrive or something like that, typically, and you're flying, for example, to Helsinki rather than Vasa. So oftentimes the airlines are supposed to bring for you the luggage where you are, but then make sure that you report it on time online or in the airport so that you can have your luggage. So, I mean, hopefully no one is going to have their luggage problem, but since it's been a recent topic and quite an important one, I just thought it's important to mention so that you are prepared and don't get upset as I did recently.
I've had my luggage lost in 2 big events when we ran Ex Culture Macerata in Italy. My luggage was lost by Lufthansa of all airlines, because they're not supposed to lose luggage, right? And it took them 3 days to get my luggage. And imagine that it's a 6-day conference. So halfway through is when I got my luggage. And then when I was vacationing, a very short vacation, when I was in Hawaii, crossing over from one terminal to another, it was so tight. I knew that my luggage wasn't going to make it, and obviously it didn't make it, and then I got it the next day. But like Dr. Ajrina said, just be ready for anything. And usually 1 or 2 days of emergency stuff is sufficient. And then if not, you just go shopping. You guys are international business professors. This is going to be your reality, right? So you're going to have to learn how to roll with it, and don't get pissed off. I will get pissed off a little bit, but then let it go. Okay. I think we've answered most everything. Let me see. Dr. Voss is saying, Dr. Voss is saying it might be good to bring your country flag. I don't know why. Let's see what else. Packing list, I think. Yes, converters. Ajrina, do you want to address the converter idea, please?
Yeah, so especially for those who are traveling from US, you would need one. And typically these are very, actually last one I bought in New York, I think, airport in an automatic machine, and they're super good. They're like $20 or something, but then they have all these fancy sockets for whatever part of the world. So it's always good to have one wherever you travel.
Yeah, but which one do you have? Which one do we buy for?
The European standard, right?
The European standard. And I think that this is included in the package that was sent out, the packing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yes,
So,
yes, correct. So yes, sorry to jump in, but yes, all these pieces of information were already shared actually in the WhatsApp group chat because they were collected by the ambassadors. And so guys, you can find all the answers in the packing list and also in the Q&A sheet we posted on WhatsApp, okay?
And the newsletter that you guys got yesterday. So you are covered. So we have a hard stop of 10 o'clock because we
need to run to the next meeting.
We need to run to the next meeting. But if you do have any further questions, please go directly to your ambassadors, okay?
Yeah.
And
For the flags, wouldn't it be nice if we had all 40 flags or whatever countries we have presented at one of the events?
Please, some one of us are still not on the WhatsApp group. Please email. Okay, the flags, if you want to bring flags, bring flags.
Yeah, I'm bringing Canada, the US, and Ukraine. I don't care.
If you
thanks,
are not,
I will buy Lithuanian one as I'm now here. So good timing.
Yeah, let's do that.
Guys, this is important. If you are not in the WhatsApp group, or if any of your teammates are not on the WhatsApp group, please go immediately to your ambassador. That is critical, because that's how we're pushing out information from now on. See you guys in Finland.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
See you in a few weeks.
very soon, guys. Safe travels if we don't talk before.